Crypto Kids, today is the worst ever day for silver. We've never dropped 38% within 24 hours ever on silver. The price of gold is down 16% to the max, the worst since the 1980s. Precious metals are getting obliterated after having a biblical rally. So in this video, not only are we going to discuss precious metals, but we will also go into the price of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has been dropping, but not as much. Bitcoin is still holding strong relative to precious metals. We have that CME gap at 93. I want to tell you what I'm going to be doing in terms of my trading in the upcoming few days. And I also want to break down to you exactly why this drop is happening in the first place. My exchange is going to load in just a moment's time, and then we will get into positioning too. So guys, if this video sounds interesting to you, then make sure to subscribe, destroy the like button, and stay tuned for tomorrow's video, because I'm going to be posting the Da Vinci interview tomorrow. It was supposed to happen today, but because the markets are being so volatile and hectic, I decided to postpone it to tomorrow, and I hope that is fine with you guys. If you still want to watch that Da Vinci interview before everybody else, what you can do is you can sign up to the Levex link down in the description, the second link in the description. Every single member here over on Levex, completely free to sign up. You guys will be able to access my exclusive content. After you subscribe to Levex, just type in Crypto Kid, and you will be able to see the analysis and videos I post. We're at 23 subscribers. Let's see if we can reach 50 by the end of today, and I will be opening some short positionings once Bitcoin retests the 200 daily moving average, and I'm going to be publishing it here over on Levex. I deposited 55K to be able to make that position, right? I'm not going to use all of it, but if you want to stay up to date, then make sure to check out Levex and also subscribe to the Crypto Kid channel. With that said, let's jump into precious metals first, because you're seeing a big drop. With silver, we said that precious metals, and I mean precious metals in general, but silver more specifically, the rallies happen very, very swiftly and extremely, but you need to take profits with things like silver, because if you don't, then you're going to be stuck with your screenshots. And that's the case. Silver pumps big time, but when it experiences drops, it also drops big time. Take a look at the 80s, right? Silver rallied massively, and then after it identified its top, the drop came in very quickly to the downside. The same thing happened in 2012, 2011, right? So we hinted this when we marked the cup and handle pattern, and at $48, we said it was a good entry because we can go to over $100, and that's exactly what silver did. We mentioned that the drop will be quick, so I stated that I'm taking profits between 90 all the way to $120, $130. I still have some silver, but I did take out most of my position, and hopefully you guys are able to do the same, because we're having the biggest drop in silver's essentially history, and then gold is having the biggest drop since 1980s. Why is this drop happening? Well, you have two factors. First of all, the markets were very, very euphoric. It was too much overvalued. When altcoins are discussed by the average Joe, by, let's say, your friends from school who have, jobs outside of crypto, outside of finance, when they ask you which altcoin should I buy, is Trump coin good, is Melania coin good? When your barber asks you, or if your taxi driver asks you, right? When people outside of finance ask you about altcoins, you know that this is getting to the top. It's too euphoric. Same thing was happening with silver. I was just at an event called Satoshi Roundtable. If you're an OG, then you know what this event is. It is like the Illuminati of crypto. I can maybe talk about it more on a future video, but one of my friends there mentioned that he was in Australia 2 days back, and there were people lining up in queues to buy silver, to buy gold. So when that is the case, you approach tops, right? You approach the top. That's the top signal. Same thing goes for crypto. Same thing goes for precious metals. So this dump that's taking place is a liquidity flush. It is a liquidity flush. There's a lot of paper gold, paper silver that is traded with leverage, and that needs to get flushed out. That's basically what's happening. And on top of it, today we got the decision of who is going to be the next Fed chair. President Trump announced today that Kevin Warsh is going to be the next chairman of the board of governors at the Federal Reserve, replacing Powell in May. Now, why doesn't the markets like Kevin Warsh? It was between Rick Ryder and Kevin Warsh, and it turns out that it is Kevin Warsh. Well, they don't like him because Kevin Warsh has historically said that in 2020, the Fed waited too long to raise interest rates. So he's a very hawkish individual when he has his own monetary policy stance. He's very, very hawkish. He said that in 2022, the Fed waited too long to raise interest rates. He said that QE inflates assets into bubbles and worsens inequality. He's not a big fan of tremendous amounts of quantitative easing. He wasn't the biggest fan of the stimulus that happened post-COVID, where the government doubled essentially the amount of dollars in circulation when the Fed doubled their balance sheet, the Treasury doubled their balance sheet. He said he wasn't fans of that. So he's not a dovish individual. President Trump is looking for somebody that's dovish, somebody that can reduce rates to lower levels. Trump has literally said that on Truth Social that he wants a chair to bring down interest rates to 1% to 2%. Okay, and clearly the markets have looked up what Kevin Warsh has said historically, and they found out that that is not the case. So they're selling. Everybody was anticipating massive rate cuts, and Kevin Warsh may not do that. But today, President Trump said his new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh, will cut rates without any pressure. Let's see. At the end of the day, the Fed chair is independent from politics. So let's see what takes place. It's really a bit of it's going to be a mystery until May, but for now, I wouldn't be hoping for massive rate cuts. I think the Fed dot plot, which projects rates at about 3% for the next 2-3 years, is pretty accurate. We've shown it before. I'll show you again. If we go to the CME FedWatch data and look at the dot plot, you will notice 2026, you're looking at about 3%, 3.25%. 2027 is the same. So is 2028, even a bit higher. And then the long run too. So I wouldn't be expecting massive rate cuts. What does it mean for Bitcoin? Well, in the very short term, I expect 93K to be taken out, right? And over on LoveX, I'm going to flip into short positions once Bitcoin experiences a retest to its 200 daily moving average. I may even open a little bit of shorts over at that 93K CME gap level. But we are at good support. We need to bounce. And at 93K, I'll probably open a small short position here on LoveX. And then also at the 200 daily moving average, which Bitcoin historically always retests. Okay, Bitcoin always retests its 200 daily moving average after every Q4 top. And then you see a correction. And look, if I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. I would rather be wrong with a short position than lose money on my spot holdings of Bitcoin, which equate to about 90% of my net worth, right? So I would rather take stop loss off of a short position than be wrong with my long-term holdings and bullishness into Bitcoin, which I know that I will not be wrong on. So guys, that wraps up today's video. Insane stuff. I mean, this is like altcoin-esque things. Let's check out copper. What is copper doing? Back to 5.9, not too much of damage on copper. Uranium, I mean, who would have guessed we would have talked about uranium, right? But here we are. Wild times in the precious metals market. Hopefully you guys are safe. And I'll see you all on the next video tomorrow, I promise, with Da Vinci. That's going to go up tomorrow. If you want to watch it in the meantime, it is up over on LoveX. Take care, and as always, bye-bye.